What's going on, guys? Mana's over $5, just like I said it would be. Hopefully, you guys have been able to make some money on this, been able to catch some of this momentum. I'm going to give you guys an update on what I think might be happening over the next week, where we should be looking to thin out our positions or maybe add to our positions depending on what we see in the next couple of hours or days. So before I get into that, I want to just direct your attention over to our Etsy store. If you guys are interested in picking up some Mana tees or Mana sweaters, feel free to check out our Etsy store. We got everything from, t-shirts to backpacks and, water bottles, all that kind of good stuff. Feel free to check us out. The link will be in the description below. And, it will be supporting this channel. Anything you buy there supports this channel, so I would be greatly appreciated. Other than that, let's talk about some Mana price action. So, guys, Mana is one of those things. It's gonna be pumping. And because of this whole Metaverse, Facebook, and virtual reality becoming more and more prized by these big corporations and by these big kind of tech companies, what we're going to be looking for is bigger pushes and bigger moves in these kind of names, with more and more people jumping on the hype train, more and more people starting to realize what these kind of things can do for them, and that they're not just going to go up and come back down, but now we're going to see some actual stability and some actual price action that might be able to get us to new all-time highs and also sustain at these levels. But I'm not, and trust me, everything I say here is not a buy recommendation. I'm not telling you guys to go out and buy this. That's why I said earlier, I'm already up 400%. I told you guys to buy it at $1, and I told you guys also to buy it at $3.50 after it broke to $5 on the previous jump, right? So this previous jump here, when we, I was buying in way back here months ago, years ago, right? So I'm in here, end of May, around this time, about $1, $1.10, 90 cents, around this area. I'm adding to my positions. I'm loading up. I waited until we had our big jump. I sold some around $4, and right now, I was adding back to my position around $3.50, and I showed you guys exactly why I was doing that, right? If you look at the price action, you needed to kind of pay attention when you had this big ramp. But when we had this big ramp, you can kind of see it here. We had this resistance, right? It broke $1. This 150 was a huge resistance from prior. We can see the prior 150 resistance way back here, right? Once we broke that, we shot all the way up to 350. Now, this is important because it shows you where there was resistance before. It showed you where people were looking to sell their positions and get out because they thought this thing was going to stop. So they thought the fair value at that point was 315 or 350. Anywhere in that area, if you look on the actual chart for the day, you'll see where the actual resistance levels were. But anywhere in this general area where you see this kind of, you see this little aberration in the chart where it's not just a direct line up, right? You have this kind of little squiggle, and that's because that's where people were selling, and it looked like it might reverse, but then it was able to hold and break through on that day, right? So why that's important is because that's why I was telling people to buy at 350 after it came up and hit a high of 618, back at the end of October. It hit a high of 618, and then you saw this immediate rejection back down to 5 back, and that's when I was selling. I was selling when it couldn't hold and bounce. This is where I was unloading some of my position, right, in these kind of dips here around $4, and I got out about 25-30% of my position, right? So the reason this is important is because once it came back into this level of 350, showing that this reversal might be able to catch support, and if there was anywhere it was going to catch support, it was off of this little aberration right here, right? This little area of resistance when it came up from, broke through $1.50 and $2, and it stopped at 315, and that area became resistance, and then it broke through that to 6, came back down and stalled at 3. The exact level where you had resistance before becomes support. which is why I was telling people to load up at $3. If you go back and watch all my videos that I made in the last month, 2 months talking about mana, you'll see that I was telling you guys these areas were the areas to load up for the next run higher, right? As we now push to new all-time highs, because of the fact that this first jump was really just the first anybody ever thought, hey, this is a good idea, that this might actually be valuable to more than just people that want to buy crypto. This might actually be valuable to corporations, to actual people that want to use these virtual reality networks and platforms, or like, you know, worlds, as Decentraland would call it, or, you know, Mana would say. But anyway, the whole point here is to understand the price action. Here's my catch. He's going to jump into the video, do a little bit of photo bombing. But yeah, so the reason I was so, you know, important about buying around this level is because I knew that if it held as support, which it almost certainly would, we were going to get a big move higher, right? So now if you bought at 350, you're up almost, you know, 70%, 60, 70% on your investment, right? And I wouldn't be mad at you if you wanted to sell, and I encourage you to sell. But what I want to show you is I want to show you my thoughts on what I think could be happening, right? What we could be seeing play out over the next few days, so, or hours. In this case, could be hours too. So what you want to realize and what you want to look at is the same thing I was showing you before when I was showing you the support and resistance that it had around this level here. Well, you can find the same thing around $5 when it went up earlier, right? So right now we are sitting at the all-time high where, you know, the $6 is really an aberration. $5.50, there was a little bit more support. So if you were trading back in those days, you would have seen it, and I was trading in those days, so I in my head I know exactly where these numbers are. And it's not necessarily the numbers you see on the chart, because it's going to show you exactly where it went to, but it's not going to show you for, you know, how long, which even if it's only like an hour or whatever, right? So basically what I'm saying is that right now we're sitting at all-time highs. That this is the level where you had any support before, and it wasn't just a quick jump to those levels and then rejection. So if it can hold this level, if it can break above 6 and then break 618, which really probably won't be hard. It's really going to be 6. And I'm talking Canadian here. So just so you guys know, everything I talk about is Canadian. Sorry if it's confusing. I'm a Canadian. It says Canadian right here. That's why the prices are always probably higher than yours. If you're American, it's probably like, you know, $5.50 or something for you guys, right? That we're looking to break. But anyway, if we can break this previous top back here, and it was the same thing I was saying with Ethereum, right? And why Ethereum will probably hold at 53, and I think that we're seeing that now. But what you got to realize, and I'm just giving you guys my thoughts, you know, obviously anything can happen, which is why trading is risky, and you should always be taking risks on your own accord, not listening to anybody else and trying to follow anybody else. But I'm just trying to give you guys an idea, my ideas, so I can think through my own thought process. And you know, for the most part, like I said, I'm in it at $1 and I'm holding, but I don't necessarily think you guys should hold. I didn't hold everything. I'm selling some, and if it can't hold $5, I'm selling more. Probably like 20% more, and I'll be down to 50% of my holdings. But that's just because we just had this big jump, and now we're sitting at a level where it's like it's either going to break or it's going to reject. And if it rejects, we can go back down towards 350. Who knows, right? So the idea now is just how much hype can we get on this next jump, and how much are we going to get support from major corporations that are looking to back a lot of these metaverse plays, like Facebook that was putting like something like 200 million or something into these initiatives, right? So you're probably going to see a lot of institutional investing happening in these names, which is why on these previous dips, you're seeing these big jumps because you're getting a lot of buyers, right? And now you're getting those hold. So now we have this uptrending pattern. Obviously, if you drew a wedge from here, you'd see this is a pretty clear ascending wedge that we are typically trying to break out of. And if we can break out to the I side over the next couple days, we could be looking at $7, $7.50, $8, and then 10. And it's not that crazy to think we'd be at 10 in a couple weeks, right? So that's my thought process here. And like I said, it's if it can't hold this wedge pattern, and you'll see this wedge pattern as these, you know, as it makes higher low or higher highs, and it's still on an uptrend, right? So you can see here, right, like this became a downtrend because it didn't hold this uptrend. This was trying to trend higher. It's like, okay, this is trending higher highs, right? But on this one, instead of going higher, it broke lower, and that's why you had this sell-off. So we have to continue seeing these higher highs in this kind of ascending pattern, and then hopefully, you know, we're going to go back to $10. And it's not that crazy to see this at $10 considering what the value of this type of play is, right? And the idea that this is all speculation and hype. So this is, you know, what you would call a speculative bubble in many senses. So I'm not expecting this to last forever, right? I'm not expecting this to fucking go to $10 and stay there forever, pardon my French, right? I'm expecting this to hold its gains in many instances because it's already had these big rips and then these sell-offs. So right now you're having people trading this. This is all just trading, right? And this is all institutions starting to get positions in to build this thing up until the hype dies off. And then once the hype dies off in the next kind of like months or so in the new year, they'll look to unwind their positions when we can get this thing up towards, you know, 50 or 60% return for the people that are the institutions that are buying at $4, right? So that's what I think is going to happen, which is why I think that, you know, you had this sell-off and then you had this big kind of support and jump, and now you're having another rip. And so the idea is, can we sustain this? Can we sustain this ascending pattern? And, you know, we'll keep an eye on it and we'll see what happens. But for right now, I think we're okay. And as this article talks about how the meta tokens are rallying in the face of a broader market sell-off, just showing the strength that these metaverse plays have currently, which is why I think that, you know, they're one of the most volatile currently, but also one of the most lucrative if you can be smart and trade it properly, trade it smartly, and never risk money that you can't afford to lose, and never trade anybody else's ideas. Always create your own ideas. All I'm doing here is trying to show you how you should think about it and how you should look at these price levels, and the way I look at them and the way I think about them. So this is all just my opinion, and you know, who knows? This thing might go down to $1 in the next week. Who knows, right? But all I can do is speculate and think how to trade it properly and how to trade it so I can get the most profits, because, you know, I like profits and you should like profits too if you like trading. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video. I'm rambling on now and sorry about that. But anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully you guys are having a great week, end of the week. Happy Friday, happy weekend, and hopefully you guys are making money. Anyway, bye guys.